The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Longview, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37933. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Starting just under the front bumper, you'll find two tow eyes located on the right and left frame rail. These are intended for 6,000-pound direct pull. On the face of the front bumper, you'll find dual air horns on the outer edge. Just inside that location, electronic siren and PA speaker. Moving over to the driver's side, on the face of the front bumper, you'll find your mechanical siren. Moving up onto the bumper extension, a 2.5-inch discharge swivel. Moving toward the inside area of the front storage location, you'll find a tubbed storage location, Velcro tie-down, and dry deck material inside. On the outer edge of the cab, you'll find marker turn indicators light. Moving just inside that location below the headlight bezel, you'll find emergency warning lights, lower emergency zone, headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Just above that, emergency warning lights. There are 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. As we move to the outer edge of the A pillar, it's where you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the angled corners where you'll find your opticom. Also in the center, you'll find a brow light. Located within inside the brow light are the identification clearance lights. Moving up to the emergency warning light bar located on top of the roof. Let's go ahead and move around to the side of the vehicle. Full view on the driver's side. Let's focus in on the cab section next. First, starting with the front axle, where you'll find Goodyear tires, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge indicator into the center axle area. On the side of the bumper extension, side-facing emergency warning light. Another glimpse of that side-facing marker light here on the front section of the A pillar. As we move to the rear cab, you'll find a D-handle gains you access into this space, and then just above that, you'll find a lower zone emergency warning light. Easily accessible with a gloved hand, these are your door lock and latch. They are keyed. Right next to that, you'll find the grab handle for remaining 3 points of contact for gaining entry in and out of the cab. Just to the rear of that, over the front axle, you'll find when plugged into Shoreline Power, the visual indicator will show battery status. Moving further up to the top, side-facing scene light, and then to the rear cab wall, an LED water tank level indicator. Moving now to the pump area. We'll come back to this in just a few moments in better detail. Let's move on to the body section next, where you'll find at the rear of the axle, folding wheel chock storage for 2 wheel chocks. Moving just forward of the rear axle, you'll find a marker turn indicator light, and then directly over the rear axle, you'll find the lower zone emergency warning light. Let's move up onto the top, where you'll find 2 side-facing scene lights. As we move to the rear, you'll find an emergency warning light, amber in color. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. Down on the lower portion, you'll find a marker turn indicator. Also, you'll find emergency warning, brake, turn, and reverse light cluster on both passenger and driver's side. Moving just up from this location, you'll find your Shoreline inlet at the rear of the apparatus. Above that, upper zone emergency warning lights, and then 2 rear-facing scene lights, one on the right and one on the left. For gaining access to the hose load on the upper left-hand side of the hose bed, there are 2 fold-down steps located here. And then moving just to the right, you'll find a D-handle gains you access into this compartment, which is housing your ground ladders. Move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, full view of the vehicle, and let's focus in on the body section next. First, in front of the rear axle is where you'll find the exhaust location. Extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures do exist, especially during regen. Be cautious where you park your vehicle. Moving now to the mid-section and then on to the cab area. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the front bumper extension, which we previously covered. First with the 2.5-inch discharge swivel, up on the passenger side. This is a foam capable discharge, and then into the hose storage location in the center. Tie downs and dry deck material inside the base. Moving now into the cab area, we'll start into the driver's space, first starting with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, combination latch and door lock, and also electric windows which control all 4 cab windows, and a grab handle in the upper left-hand corner. Let's move into this space, first starting at the stepwell area. Down at the very bottom in the stepwell, you'll find a light, and then also you'll find an air outlet, air shutoff, and also air inlet for truck air. You'll also find the yellow plaque in here indicating the date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, and cold tire inflation. This also houses the VIN number, fluid capacities for each component, fluid capacity, and then also fluid type. Moving to the floorboard area where you'll find 2 foot pedals, first air horn and then also mechanical siren. Up to about the left knee of the operator, you'll find the master battery switch, quarter turn, and then also the engine transmission ABS J1939 diagnostic port. Just below that, some switches for ABS diagnostics, DPF regen, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switches. We'll go ahead and move now up to the dash area. We'll identify a few things within that area next. First, starting on the left, you'll find the start and ignition switch on the left. Just inside that location, a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights with one switch. Headlight switch and panel switch allow you to brighten and dim lights within the dash area. To the opposite side of the column, you'll find your OK to engage your high idle switch and indicator. As we move to the dash cluster, you'll find water, DEF, oil, and transmission tip. On the right, you'll find volts, fuel, front air, rear air. In the center, tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic tally lights will display above the speedometer and also below, in addition to a digital readout screen in between the tachometer and speedometer. Let's move just to the left-hand side of the column where you'll find the air dump for rear suspension, alarm silence. To the opposite side, your pump shift. There are instructions for its operation from road to pump, and then also from pump to road. Just as a reminder, for pump operations, you'll need 2 green indicators, pump engaged and OK to pump illuminating for pump operations before leaving the cab. To the right, you'll find the flat mirror and convex mirror control for both passenger and driver side. We'll start at the very top, just to the right of the operator space with a switch panel. We do have a driver's alley light, passenger alley, electronic or also air horn selector switch, siren or horn selector, mirror heat, and load manager. Just to the right, you'll find your windshield wiper fluid control and then also push for windshield wiper fluid on the windshield. Down to the next set of switches where you'll find a siren brake for your mechanical siren, engine brake on and off, settings for low, medium, and high, and then also a tire chain that is a protected switch, and then also the diff lock on and off, and a indicator for diff lock activated. To the left, you'll find the yellow diamond, which is your pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. This is the rear spring brakes. To the right, you'll find the Allison transmission pad with an informational note that says pump in drive. Just to the right of this location is climate control for heat, air conditioning, and defrost. We'll move further to the right where you'll find 12-volt access via USB-C and then also barrel style. Moving further to the right, you'll find USB-C access 12-volt. This is in the officer space. Moving overhead of the driver, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height of the vehicle, 10 feet 1 inch, length 32 feet 7 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 49,800 pounds. Some additional switches for emergency lights, emergency master, roof light, front warning, side warning, lower rear warning, and upper rear warning. Just to the right of this location, additional switches for your scene lights, high beam flash, front scene, driver side scene, passenger side scene, rear scene, and perimeter lighting. When any of the switches have been engaged, the light in the switch will illuminate, indicating activation. Moving further to the right, control module for your electronic siren and PA speaker system. As we move through the vehicle, you'll find these red and white labeled indicating spare wiring behind the panel. Please don't remove until your maintenance team has had an opportunity to access this wiring behind the panel. Moving just to the right, in the center area, you'll find seatbelt information. Red indicating someone is in the seat and not belted. Green, they're in the seat and belted. Also, just a reminder, just to the left of this location is a do not move your apparatus light if flashing, indicating you may have a compartment or door ajar. Quick look to the rear of the apparatus, 2 forward-facing seats. As we look behind the driver's and officer seat, you're going to find your 12-volt battery charger. When plugged into Shoreline power, that becomes active. And then also manual cab tilt, that's the handle for the jack. Moving now back to the exterior, when plugged into Shoreline power, the auto charge status center will indicate battery status. Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and a visual sight gauge indicator into the center of the axle area. We're now into the rear section of the cab area fixed to the door panel. Safety and warning placard information, electric window control, door lock and latch, and a grab handle. Let's look inside and overhead, where you'll find push on and off red or white lens along with your AM/FM weather band speakers on the roof level. In the very rear section, you'll find a lift and turn latch will gain you access to the rear portion of the engine for your daily checks for oil and transmission. As we look through the rest of the cab, these are the 2 forward-facing seats. There are also 2 rear-facing seats on the passenger and driver's side. On top of the engine tunnel, you'll find 12-volt access USB-C, and then also a headset system located in the rear portion and also in the upper portion in the front. Let's move from this location inside the cab to the exterior. This is directly to the rear cab wall. You have an additional storage location here, and now we'll start with the pump panel area. Starting first in the upper left-hand corner where the yellow arrow is indicating, this is for backboard storage and long-handled tool storage. Right next to that, you're going to find a dead load, cross-lay, and also an additional cross-lay. The netting is for protection. Additional compartment storage. As we move into the lower section of the pump panel, your vehicle is equipped with a Husky 12 foam system. This is the specification and operating instructions, along with a warning regarding fall hazard. When climbing on or off the vehicle, always face it. Moving down on the pump panel area, the red module is going to be your Husky 12 foam system module. Right next to that is the foam system tank level indicator. Into the gray module, you'll find the master intake gauge on the left. Moving down, you'll find the test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure in between the 2 of those master gauges, which is up on the right, your master discharge. The test gauge ports are currently plugged and they are utilized for testing purposes. Let's move further to the right in the gray module, where you'll find your throttle pressure governor. As we move further in the same vicinity, we'll continue on, you'll find a green indicator indicating that your pump is engaged properly. Also, just below that, you'll find an audible speaker, which allows you to increase or decrease by simply rotating the outer bezel. If the pump is properly engaged, you'll find an OK to pump indicator along the switch panel. Minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 psi. The associated GPM and pressures are on each side of that placard. Also, a warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. An additional warning placard here that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment. That's only after proper training. The Pierce American Flag Eagle is your large diameter driver's side inlet. And then also we have a manual pump shift with some caution information below that. Moving further down, you'll find the auxiliary foam fill. This is your fill location. Also a warning placard here indicating do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. As we move down, you'll find your vehicle is equipped with a waterless water pump. This is the placard indicating the specifications of that pump. Also, warning regarding pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And then once again, only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment. This is the driver's side 2.5-inch auxiliary inlet, locally controlled via ball valve, female inlet. At the very bottom, all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move just to the right, once again, the Watrous placard indicating you have a pump capacity of 1,500 GPM and the minimum operation maintenance schedule placard. As we look into the pan door here, you'll find your foam fill. There are instructions for its operation. This is for onboarding or offboarding foam. Please see the back of the door for the position of that valve for each operational position. Moving just down from this location near the running board area, you'll find your foam pump discharge drain and foam pump intake drain. Back to those placards, this is the Watrous placard indicating a CSU type pump, capacity 1,500 GPM. Minimum operation maintenance schedule for the 150, 200, and 250 test pressures, associated GPM on the left-hand side of the plaque. On the right is the associated RPM with a governed speed while in pump mode, 2,130 RPM. Let's move into the compartments now. First, we'll start at the first compartment to the right of the pump panel. We have two pull-out tool boards and also a little giant ladder. Moving now to the overwheel compartment, we have SCBA bottle storage for 3 bottles to the front, 1 to the rear, and an additional upper section tool board. Let's move back down to the rear axle, where we'll find Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, and then moving to the rear of the axle, fill location for ultra low sulfur diesel. That's the silver cap. As we move the flap downward, it will expose the blue cap, which is your DEF fill location, which is 4.5 US gallons. Moving to the rear compartment where we have adjustable shelves and also a pull-out tray. The release mechanism for that lower tray is located on the slide portion on the right-hand side. Inside the compartment, you'll find when plugged into Shoreline Power, this outlet will become active. General view here of the entire truck with all compartments open. Let's move around to the rear of the apparatus. We'll start first on the driver's side rear with the Shoreline Power. This is a 20 amp Shoreline, and then also you'll find your rear scene lights, which is a cupped switch here at the rear. There are 3 hosebed dividers along with an upper divider. To the rear compartment, roll-up compartment door, adjustable shelf that pulls out as a tray, and then also a floor-mounted tray. The release mechanism for those trays is going to be located on the right-hand side of the tray itself. Let's take a look inside the compartment area. And then let's move just to the right side rear, where you'll find an LED water tank level indicator. We'll move around now to the passenger side of the vehicle, adjustable shelves. This is a through compartment from passenger to driver side. It does have Shoreline outlet also inside this space, in addition with an adjustable shelf, LED lighting, and a pull-out tray. Once again, release located on the lower right. As we move to the overwheel compartment, we have SCBA bottle storage for 3 bottles to the rear, and then also bottle storage to the forward section. We'll get to that image next. This is forward of the axle. We have 2 SCBA bottle storage locations in addition with an oxygen bottle storage. To the rear of the apparatus, you'll find this warning placard indicating extremely hot diesel exhaust temperatures. Be cautious where you park your vehicle, especially during regen. Moving into the compartment, adjustable shelves, ventilation, and LED lighting again. Same thing, we have a Shoreline outlet inside this area. And then we'll move into the midsection or pump panel area on the passenger side, starting at the very top section with an additional storage location at the very top, LED lighting in this space also. As we move just forward to this location, this is the crosslay location. We have a dead lay and 2 crosslays, backboard storage, and long-handled tool storage. As we move into the pump panel area, behind the pump panel access, you'll find a strainer, 2.5-inch discharge. As we move further down, Pierce logo, American flag, eagle. This is your large diameter pump inlet. Warning placard here indicating pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. And then just to the right, you'll find the large diameter passenger side discharge. Let's take a look inside the lower pan door here, where you'll find your intake relief valve. This is the set screw for making that adjustment. And then all the way down to the forward section, where you'll find the number 2 driver's side discharge. As we move to the very bottom of the pump panel area, you'll find your cab lift operation module. There are instructions to raise and also to lower the cab. We do have some danger and some caution because of the movement of the cab. As we look to the running board, you'll find a tubbed storage location here, dry deck material on the lower portion, and also Velcro tie downs. We're now moving into the cab section next. Let's start with the lower portion of the cab. D-handle gains you access into this space at the rear floor of the cab. As we move inside the cab to the rear space, you'll find affixed to the door panel safety and warning placard information, electric window control, door lock and latch, and a grab handle. Overhead, you'll find your headsets, additional red and white lens lights, and also your stereo speakers. Same configuration, we have 2 forward-facing seats and then 2 rear-facing SCBA bracketed seats. To the front axle, where you'll find Goodyear tire, Alcoa wheel, visual sight gauge indicator. Let's move in now to the officer space. Affixed to the door panel, safety and warning placard information, door lock and latch, electric window control, and a grab handle. As we move into this space, into the officer space in the lower right-hand corner, A-pillar is where you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Also to the left, you'll find air horn, mechanical siren, and siren brake push buttons. Over the top section, overhead, once again, you'll find those red and white labels indicating spare wiring behind it. It will have the termination type and then also the option number. Set of switches here for front scene, driver's alley, passenger alley, driver scene, passenger scene, and rear scene. Moving just to the left, you'll find your AM/FM weather band radio. Further to the left, the FireCom module for volume and squelch. And then just underneath that is where you'll find your FireCom wireless base stations. Let's go ahead and move back to the exterior. All compartments open now on the passenger side. Let's go ahead and move up onto the roof of the apparatus. Top view. First starting in the dunnage area. This is where the water tank and foam tank are located. As we move to the cab area, we consider this a non-walking surface because it is slippery, and we do have some warning placards indicating that that space is not intended for walking. Into the dunnage area, where you'll find your master stream device and also the Husky 12 reservoir located here with a visual sight gauge. Just to the left, you'll find the extend-a-gun for your monitor. As we move to the dunnage area, we'll find the top fill locations for your foam tank. Tank A is located here. It also has a placard indicating warning, do not mix different brands of foam for the possibility of foam failure. Top fill for your water tank. And then as we move to the hose bed cover, when it's closed, you'll see these yellow diamonds indicating the edge of the walking surface. Now that it's open, we can see exposing the hose bed area and also the movable hose bed dividers. In the front bulkhead, you'll find 2 2.5-inch discharges located toward the rear in the hose bed area. As we look now to the next set of images, these are going to be that of the chassis and undercarriage area along with the engine. Just a reminder, these are your tow eyes. They are intended for 6,000-pound direct pull and not intended for towing of the vehicle. As we move to tilting the cab, this is the bar that will be put into place when the cab is fully tilted. Maintain equal pressure on both left and right cab cylinders. Do not lower the cab onto the safety bar. Moving now through the front suspension, this is a TAC 4 independent front suspension. As we move through, you have a Cummins X12 engine. Additional chassis photos. We're on the driver's side now, just for reference point. This is the battery box area. And at the base of the battery box is where you'll find the negative and positive jumper studs identified here. Also, just to the rear of the battery box, you'll find the lift cylinder reservoir. There'll be no additional audio as we continue forward through the rest of the images of the chassis. Congratulations, Longview, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 37933. If you have any questions in regards to your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.